Hi guys, welcome. Thank you for joining me today, and thank you to anyone who's watching the replay as well. How's it going today? Hi Hideaki. How are you today? It is already pretty much dark here and raining. We have a wet day, sadly, although it's a little cold as well. I've got my sort of shawl thing over my legs. Good, good, good. Glad to hear it. Right. Let's load up some slides then for today. So slides. First one. Oh, my mouse has oh, there we go. Phew. Everything froze there for a second, which put me into a state of panic. Right. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Hi, Federico, Yaya, Eugene, Vandana. Hi, Angela. How is everyone today? I'm fine. All is well here. Take my comment off the screen and out of the way. So today we're talking about modal verbs of deduction. My mouse keeps freezing. I think this means that the battery is about to run out. So that's bad timing. If that happens, hopefully not. We'll see. We shall see. So let's get into it. Today we're talking about modal verbs of deduction. And you can see some examples here on the thumbnail. You must be an expert. You can't have been lazy. So let's get straight onto it. Right. What is deduction? Manuel, glad to hear it. Alive and kicking. Nice. Vandana, I'm from the south of England, but I am currently living in the south of Spain, in the Malaga province. Hideaki, your mouse is snuffing it. We always need the it. So you might say my mouse, let's put this, my mouse is snuffing it. In other words, it's dying. Gaurav, hello. Nice to see you here. Yeah. Manuel, stormy weather. Yeah. We've got the rain here too, but it's not quite stormy. It's quite gentle at this point. So, what is deduction? Let's get into it. Deduce, this is the verb, to deduce something. This is to draw a conclusion based on evidence. And just like a detective, imagine Sherlock Holmes, for example. And the noun, of course, is deduction, which is basically an educated conclusion or an educated guess, you might say. Yeah. Emma is a Spanish name. You know, I used to have a student called Emma when I worked in an academy, and one of my students has a daughter called Emma as well. So yeah, you do see Emma appear in Spain, but Spanish people often call me Enma or Inma because, you know, they have trouble with the double M sometimes. Yeah, this is an interesting question. I was thinking about this actually, to infer something, to deduce something. Is there actually any difference here? Sure that there is. I mean, if you infer something, you form an opinion based on evidence. If you deduce something, it's the same. I don't think I see any difference there between infer and deduce. Yeah, you could call them modal verbs of inference as well, to use the noun. Infer, I think, is considered to be a higher level word. So, or maybe not. Maybe they're both quite high level, actually. Probably at least C1, C2 to be using these verbs. Hi, Jesus. My mouse is snuffing it. Yeah. This was in this week's, in Monday's version of the English with M weekly newsletter, which if you would like to get the English with M newsletter, you can sign up for free on my website. I'll just pop the link in the chat. Every Monday, I share English tips and vocabulary and whatnot. So start that one. So there you go. English with M newsletter every Monday to learn expressions like snuff it. Cecilia, cool. Well, I hope you have a good one. So let's get into it. We're going to start by looking at modals of deduction in the present tense. So we use must plus the infinitive when we are sure that something is true. We think 99% yes. And we use may, might, or could plus the infinitive when we think something is possible, 50-50. And we use can't and the infinitive when we are sure that something is not possible. We are sure no. And an important point here is that although we're sure, it's 99%. This is what we think. So it's not 100%. We're not talking about facts. We're talking about deductions, inferences, guesses based on facts. Ettore, hello. How are you today? Fabulous. The more the merrier. The more the merrier, for sure. So let's see these modal verbs in action. And you guys hopefully will put, lots of examples in the chat as we go through. You can see we've got our structure up at the top. And I'm just going to get myself off the screen for a moment to point out something. So what do you think of this? She must be wearing a jumper. Do you think that this is correct? Does this work? What do you reckon? So Hideaki, you're saying no. Let me get myself out of the way again. Hello. No. So Jesus, you're thinking it could work. Bandana, yes. Hideaki, you're very sure there's a no there. Why? Why not? I'll tell you, you're right. It's not correct. But why not? She's in the room. So I'm just going to backtrack to the previous slide. So think about this. We use modal verbs of deduction when we think that something is true. We don't use it for facts. So if we go back to the picture, this doesn't work because she is wearing a jumper. This is a fact. So it's not a deduction. It's not an inference. We can see that she is wearing a jumper. So this is a really important point about modal verbs of deduction. We use them when we are not 100% sure. She couldn't be freezing. Yeah, she couldn't be. We don't tend to use couldn't in the negative, rather can't. Can't. So she can't be freezing, you might say. Manuel, you've been taught that may is stronger than might. I wouldn't say so, not in this context. I mean, I would say, for example, I've got a few examples here. So she must be a student. That's my guess. And notice we've got the infinitive because this is stative. She might be preparing for an exam, possibly. And here, notice that we've got be followed by the ing form. This is because it's active. So when we use these modal verbs of deduction, if we're talking about an action, we use must be, might be, maybe, followed by the verb with ing. She might be preparing for an exam. We don't know. She can't be enjoying herself. This is my opinion. Although, I could be wrong about this. I'm not 100% sure. And again, we've got this active, be enjoying. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So this is it. It is a fact that she is wearing a jumper. So we wouldn't use the deduction structure here. Yeah. She has a pencil in her right hand, exactly. So we wouldn't say she must be holding a pencil because we can see that she is holding a pencil. That's a fact, not a deduction. Mhm. Nice. She might be studying for tomorrow. Yeah, it's possible. We don't know. Maybe. And you could also say she may be studying for tomorrow, or she could be studying for tomorrow. So let's take a look at another picture. I have another one here. So what do you think? What must be happening here? Cold hands. The temperature's really dropped here in the last, well, this flat looks out onto the road, but it's south facing, so I get the sun. So on a sunny day, it gets warm. Today is not a sunny day, so it's a lot cooler. Yeah, they must be arguing about something, I reckon. They might be arguing about finances. Yeah, excellent. Excellent. Yeah. And yeah, they might be arguing. So, Hideaki, here, they can't be. If we're talking about an action, we need the verb in the ing form. So you could say, for example, they can't be agreeing with each other, typically. They can't be agreeing with each other. Pandurang, hello. Thank you for joining us. Yeah. Manuel, I wouldn't say holding an argument. I would say have. They might be having an argument. So I put they must be a couple. I think they must be a couple. I could be wrong, but they don't look like brother and sister. It looks like they live together. I'm not 100% sure, but pretty sure. And again, we're using be, it's stative. They could be breaking up. And here we've got the action. So we've got be followed by the ing form. Cool. Cool. I've never been to India, unfortunately. Maybe one day. on my list, my long list of places I'd like to visit. And I've put that they can't be siblings. And again, we've got a stated verb. I could be wrong about this, but I don't think so. I don't think they look like brother and sister. And it's not usual for siblings to live together as adults. Although that said, I did live with my brother for a couple of years after university, and that was great. It was a shared house, actually. There were 4 of us. Yeah, they can't be in a good mood. Yeah, it's unlikely, isn't it? Mhm. He might be convincing her not to do what she has planned. Yeah, possibly. There's a phrasal verb you can use there, Eugene. So say, he might be trying to talk her out of something. If you talk someone out of something or out of doing something, you convince them that what they have planned is a bad idea, and that they shouldn't do it. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. They might be siblings, maybe, but looks like they're a couple. Yeah. So this, my view, they can't be siblings. You could, of course, say they might be siblings. Yeah. Matter of perspective. Yeah. Might be siblings. Yeah. Maybe. And because we're not talking about facts here, there can be disagreement about this. Of course, we can have different opinions, different perspectives, and we don't know who's right because we don't know for sure. He might fail to persuade her. Yeah. Yeah. And you could use the continuous form here. He might be failing. Yeah, she looks pretty determined. She's not having it, is she? Ah, dear. And just to give you an example again of something that doesn't work, you couldn't say, for example, they might be, or even they must, sitting on the sofa. We cross next to that. Yeah. So just to give you an example of something that doesn't work, you couldn't say they must be sitting on the sofa. They are sitting on the sofa. This is a fact. So this is probably the most common mistake that I see students make when they try to use this structure. They use it to present facts. But we don't do that. There's always some element of doubt when we use this structure. We're not 100% sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if they were a couple, there might be some strain on the relationship. I mean, no relationship is perfect, is it? That's a nice example there of the second conditional. Were they to be a couple? A formal sort of second conditional structure with inversion. Nicely done. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, persistent, stubborn, you might say. Or stubborn's a little negative. You might say determined, depending on your perspective. Let's take a look at another picture. Okay. What do we think about this guy? What's going on here? What deductions can you make? Hmm. I wish I had some cake at the moment. I went to Aldi earlier today, and well, as we're approaching Christmas, the shop was absolutely filled with, Christmas food, Christmas decorations, and I purchased, it's in the other room, I'd love to show you. I bought a large panettone with pistachio cream. It looks amazing. Ooh, nice. His mouth must be watering. Yes. So for anyone who's not familiar with this expression, if your mouth waters when it fills with saliva because you're hungry or you can smell or see delicious food. What does compulsion mean? If you have a compulsion, then it's like a very strong urge or strong desire to do something, like, to the point that it's difficult to control. Compulsion, a strong desire to do something. It's particularly difficult to control, which is why people refer to compulsive eaters, people who can't stop eating, or compulsive liar. That's another collocation you often hear, someone that is constantly telling lies. Yeah. The boy must be happy, I reckon. It might be his birthday cake. Yeah, we don't know, but it's reasonable to guess that. He might want to eat it. Yeah, for sure. Ah, take the rubbish out, please. Wow. My parents didn't cajole me to do things like that. They told me, take the rubbish out. Hmm, the cake could have a lot of calories. I have a story for you about this. When I was in school many moons ago, my dear friend Becca, I wonder, I might be able to, she won't mind. This is Becca, my best friend since school, since we were 4 years old. We were in Greece together in this photo, last year, I think, or possibly the year before. Becca and I, my partner in crime, she also gave me this pineapple photo stand. We used to buy these chocolate gâteaux when we were studying, and one day we saw that the chocolate gâteau that we liked, it was like there was a low-fat version, 50% calories or something. So what do you think we did? We bought one each. So instead of sharing the gâteau, we thought, well, it's low fat, let's have one each. Shocking, but delicious. We were kids then, could eat what we wanted without consequence, really. Not so anymore. Moment on the lips, a lifetime on the hips. Yeah, it might be his birthday. Mm-hmm. Must be obsessed with chocolate cake. Yeah, 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 yeah. To eat or not to eat, indeed. That is the question. Yeah. Yes, indeed. There's a tip. Some people get confused, including native speakers, about whether they should say, like, to not to do or to not do. And if you're ever unsure about the order, that you should put not in an infinitive, think of Shakespeare, to be or not to be. And then that will remind you that not comes before to. Yeah. Thanks, Hideaki. It's one of my favorites. In fact, this flat is filled with pictures of Becca and I together because no one else really takes pictures of me. She's the only person really you know, that photographs me or us together, which is nice. Yeah, he might be helping his mother set the table. Nice example. Mhm. Mhm. Nice use of inversion there, Manuel. Rarely do I write must without being sure. Yeah. Anyone hasn't seen my latest YouTube video, it's all about inversion after negative adverbials. And if I do say so myself, it's one of my best. So check it out if advanced grammar is your thing. Yeah, you guys might have bought it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'll put it in the chat. A moment on the lips. A lifetime on the hips. Sadly. Yeah. Only maybe he's thinking, do I eat it up? Yeah, absolutely. So my examples here, he must love cake. I think that's reasonable to infer or to deduce. And here, you see, we've got love here. We don't always use be. We can use other verbs, typically stative verbs, like he must like or love or feel, those kinds of verbs, or know. He may not want to share it. Again, so we've got another stative verb here, want. It can't all be for him, so the verb to be. Be is definitely the most common verb that we use with the modals of deduction, because we're often referring to somebody's state. And quite often with an adjective, he must be happy or he must be hungry. Yeah. There was a question there. What's the approach to enhance your vocabulary? Well, let's throw that open to you guys. Does anyone have any tips here that they'd like to share? What are your techniques for enhancing your vocabulary? What is most helpful to you? I'll pop that question in the chat. What do you guys do to enhance your vocabulary? And then I'll tell you what I think. But let me write this down or I'll forget. There we go. The memory like a sieve or a fish. Ah, as a rehearsal. Yeah, well, that's a good idea. It's exactly what the chat is for. Use it. Practice. So let's have another one. What deductions can you make about this picture? Reading newspapers and books. Yeah. Reading, you cannot underestimate the importance of reading for expanding your vocabulary. It is super important. And it's really great as well if you can have, if you have an ebook reader that has a dictionary built in, because then I use Kindle when I'm trying to expand my Spanish vocabulary. And can't speak. Whenever you come across an unknown word, then you just press it and boom, you get the translation. It's fabulous. It is indeed. Yeah. Watching movies or series with subtitles. Yes, I have learnt so much vocabulary for my second language by doing this. So much. Because and sometimes it's good to listen without subtitles when you're working on listening skills. But from the point of view of expanding your vocabulary, subtitles is better because you catch things that you might otherwise have missed. And what also works there is for example, watching something in your native language, but with the subtitles in English. Then you're seeing English words that you may not have known uh, at the same time as you're hearing, the word in your native language, and you think, "Oh, I didn't know that was how you could say that." So when it comes to subtitles and the language that you're watching in, play around with it, mix it up. Sometimes watch in English with no subtitles, sometimes with subtitles, sometimes watch in your native language with English subtitles, mix it up. Mix it up. The pie must be made with chocolate. Made from chocolate or made of chocolate. Well, if something is made of something, then it's made, how to explain this? It's made of chocolate. If it's made from chocolate, that's a little bit different. Yeah, it's made of chocolate. It is chocolate, basically, just in another shape. If it's made from chocolate, then the chocolate, the composition has changed. It's become something else. I've got a video on this. So, for example, windows are made of glass. Glass is made from sand. So made of, the composition hasn't changed. Made from, the composition has changed. So let's get back to some of these examples. The owner must go for a trip soon. If we say she must go, it's like we're telling her, go, you must go. Because go is an active verb. It's not a stative verb. So if we're talking about an action, we need to use be and then the ing form. The owner must be going for a trip soon. Yeah. So, and Manuel, the same thing. She must go on holiday. She must be going on holiday because we're talking about an action and not a state. Oh, for sure. Yeah. They might be planning for a journey. Yes. So they might be getting, again, we need the ing form because it's an action. They must be getting a flight, or they might be getting a flight. Yeah, must be all set for a trip. This is nice phrasal verb. Is it a phrasal verb or is it's an adjective? All set. Ready, basically. It must be ready for a trip. Yeah. These clothes must have been prepared for a trip. Oh, Eugene, you're jumping the gun. So we've gone to the past tense there, which we are going to come to in a moment. They may be about leaving home. Yeah. Here I would say they may be perhaps about to leave home. So a few examples here. They must be going on a trip. And yeah, we've got the be followed by the ing form because this is active. It might be a city break, perhaps, stative. The reason I say this is that from the type of clothes that are packed, it doesn't look like they're going to the beach, I don't think. Which, yeah, so Hideaki, we're on the same page. Her destination must not be hot weather. Yeah. Typically in this case, for the negative, we would say can't. Which I think similar to my example, they can't be going to the beach. So their destination can't be hot. I reckon something active there. Yeah. Yeah, so Manuel, you're using the past form here as well. The pie could have been made with butter. Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, this is another one that I thought perhaps could be a business trip because it looks like exactly the same reasoning here. Formal and casual shoes. What about this? What do you think? I included this one just because I liked the photo. I thought it was entertaining. Today must be Halloween. Yeah, nice. Yeah. Ha! He might be mad. He might indeed. Yeah, 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 yeah. Bandana, exactly. So sound reasoning there. I mean, although I am one of these people that does take a jumper to the beach because I'm always cold, but yeah, so he might be mad. Um, must infinitive ing does not match. It does if the action is ongoing. Yeah, must be doing something. In this particular structure, that's how it works with actions. She must be going on holiday. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So I put for this one, he must be at a party. Got the verb to be because it's stative. It might be a stag do, be again, stative. And I just want to explain quickly what a stag do is for anyone who's not familiar with this. So this is the next presentation. So a stag is this animal, and a stag do is a British term, which in North America they would refer to as a bachelor party. So it's the party a man has before getting married. Yeah, exactly. So we also say stag party, but it's very common in British English to use the word do to refer to a party. So I'm having a do this weekend. When's the Christmas do? When's the Christmas party? And for women, we have a hen do, which in North American English would just be a bachelorette party. And yeah, it's the same thing. It's the party a woman has before getting married. So just wanted to share that. So back here, and I've said he can't be at work, stative, although maybe this is his job. Who knows? Maybe he's an entertainer, but I don't think that's very likely. Yeah, he may be dancing, maybe. Hmm. So, Manuel, this is an action. So rather than he must wear fancy dress, because this sounds like a repeated action, or we're telling him he must do it. So because this is an action, we need to use be plus ing. Remember, be plus ing. So how would you say that using be and ing? Hmm. Yes, indeed. It might be an open day at a mental hospital, for sure. He might be drunk. Yes, he might well be drunk. Yeah, absolutely. Hmm. Right. So now we're going to get on to the past tense deduction, which a couple of you have already used examples of in the chat. Excuse me. Need some water. Right. So for the past tense, we use have, must have, and then V3, which is the past participle. So for example, with the verb to be, we've got the past simple was or were, and the past participle is been. Yes. Fancy dress. Fancy dress. He might be wearing fancy dress. Yoshimaru, hello. Thank you for joining us. Guatemala. I have never been to Guatemala, unfortunately, either. It's on my list. Yeah. So for this one, let's just backtrack. So here, I wouldn't say his clothes can't be formal. In this case, because this is a fact, so I would say his clothes are not formal. So remember, we only use these modal verbs of deduction when we're not 100% sure. We don't use them for facts. Yeah, you can't be serious. Indeed. So fast forward again. So when we're in the past, yeah, I would love to. I will, for sure. I used to travel a lot when I was younger, and now I don't know. I mean, I don't have the time or the finances, but hopefully in the future. So we use must have done something when we're very sure that something is true. May, might, or could have, and the past participle when we think it's possible, and can't have plus the past participle when we are very sure that it's not true. And again, to point out this 99%, so we're not talking about facts when we use this structure, we're talking about things that we think are true or not true, but we don't know for sure. And a point about pronunciation, the have is not usually pronounced like have. It's normally of because it's not emphasized. So must have sounds like must have, may have, might have, could have, can't have. So that's what you'll hear. And in fact, it sounds very much like of, to the extent that many native speakers will actually write must of, can't of, yeah, which is not correct, but you might see that in social media comments and stuff because it sounds like that. He might have won the lottery. Yes, yeah. This guy, yeah, for sure. I think I'd be celebrating like that if I'd won the lottery. So yeah. No, Manuel has won. No, you were right the first time. Might have. It's always have, regardless of the subject. Always. So let's see an example. First, just to point out, so here, it must be broken. Do you think this is correct? Is this something that we would say in this situation? Yeah, Hideaki, the other people must have enjoyed his performance for sure. Yeah. I would have done. Yeah, Alexander, you're right. So we wouldn't say that because it is broken. Yeah, it is. It is a fact. Yeah, exactly. And we use this structure for deductions, not facts. So you might say someone must have knocked it over. And here, past participle, active, it's finished. Someone must have knocked it over. Yeah. It might have fallen off the table. Yeah, maybe. See, I don't know for sure that someone knocked it over. It's what I think, but you're right, yeah. The cat must have knocked it over, yeah. Uh-huh. Yes, exactly, yeah, the pot is broken. It's a fact. Yeah, exactly. Yes, for sure. So you guys have got it. Yeah. It could have been an animal, could have been. So we use been typically when something's stative. Yeah. A kid could have broken it, for sure. And again, notice the pronunciation, not could have broken it, but could have. It's not even of, could have. It's more like a could have. A kid could have broken it, for sure. It can't have been very strong, I guess. Again, stative. Could have been worse. We need the have here. So it could have been worse. This actually is a very common thing to say when something happens. Well, it could have been worse. It wasn't as bad as we expected. It could have been worse. At least nobody was injured, for example. Or, how was your exam? Could have been worse. You might say could have been better, could have been worse. It was okay. Let's have another one. What deductions can you make about this situation? Yeah. Oh my God, yeah, the dog must have broken my sunflower pot. Was it a sunflower? I didn't even, yeah, or something similar. Hmm. Hmm. Absolutely, yeah, the toast is burnt. So yeah, Hideaki, I wouldn't say could have been burnt here because we can clearly see that it is burnt. I'd say that is a fact. The toast is burnt. Hmm. Yeah. Eugene, the previous picture, yeah, it might have been the result of a quarrel. One correction there, Eugene. So not has. It might has. This is never correct. Always might have. So it doesn't matter what the subject is. He, she, it, we still use have in this case. This is because the past form, it's the past form of the infinitive, basically. Let's get back to our toast. Yeah, the toast is burnt. I could have been there, but I can't. Yeah, someone must have forgotten it. Absolutely. Yes. hmm Have you ever done that? I have. Wandered off and got distracted, and then fortunately, my toaster, it's set for a certain number of minutes, so this wouldn't happen. So, in fact, that's my example. They must have forgotten about it. And here, must have forgotten, forget, forgot, forgotten. We've got the past participle. The stative verb, actually, to forget. Yeah, exactly. Always have. Always. Well, that's why we have these lessons to remind you. Someone may have been too busy. Yeah. They might have been in a hurry, perhaps. And here we've got the stative. Yeah. Ah, Manuel. Might have been done, I guess you would say by, wouldn't you? It might have been done by my mother-in-law. She has a chip on her shoulder. Mother-in-laws, or mothers-in-law, sorry. Yeah, the plural form goes with mother, not in-law. My mother's in-law. You'd only have one. Must be a sunflower. Yeah. They can't have been paying attention. So here, just to point out, this is active, pay attention. And although we're in the past, so basically this is the past continuous form. So at the time that this photo was taken, the person who was cooking the toast can't have been paying attention. So that's an action in progress. It can't have been ing. Let's have another one. What deductions can you make about this picture? What do we think has happened? The thermostat must have been broken, yeah. The thermostat, typically I would use to describe the heat control for the heater in your home. I don't know about the toaster. Yeah. This must have been an accident. Yeah, I think so. Manuel, it can't have been made by my dog. Is there any possibility that this could be true? The car must have hit the bike. That's reasonable to deduce, yeah. We're not 100% sure. We don't know. But it's a reasonable deduction. Oh, yeah. Could have been on purpose. Indeed, let's hope not. Yeah. Could have been. Oh, my mouse is frozen again. No. Use the one on the laptop. Could have been Manuel. Could have been taking. Could have been taking a shower. Yeah. Toaster must have been set wrongly. Maybe so. Yeah. Oh. Yashimaru, thank you very much for joining us today. And yeah, have a great rest of the day. Hopefully see you in the next live. Yeah. The incident must have been unexpected. Yeah, I think that's a good example. Reasonable. Bike may have broken down. Yeah. This is an interesting phrasal verb here. So to break down is used with when an electrical or when a machine stops working properly. So I wouldn't use it for a bicycle because, I mean, is a bicycle a machine? Kind of. I guess it's electrical machines that we would use it with. So the car, typically with cars, the car's broken down, stopped working. So with the bike, I'd probably just say the bike may have broken. What is that example? Bike may have broken, yeah. When I was a teenager, I had a bike. The chain used to always fall off, and then I would fall forward, and there was something sharp sticking out of the crossbar of the bike, and it used to cut the inside of my leg. I wanted a bicycle, and my parents said, "We're not buying you a bicycle. because we don't think you'll use it. So they got me this bike, like, from a car boot sale, secondhand, of course, and, it was just yeah, it was a death trap, this bike that they got me. I used to get injured all the time because 'cause I'd fall forward when the chain came off, and then this thing sticking out of the crossbar would slice my leg, and once I this had happened, I wasn't able to fix it. I had to carry the bike home with blood running down my legs. I got home and I got yelled at. I got told off for being late. And I was like, "Oh, it's not my fault. If you get me a bike that isn't a death trap, you're scarred for life, you see. I've never forgotten that." Mhm. Oh dear. Cool. Glad to hear it. Yeah. Biker could have been carried to the hospital. Yeah. Mm. Mhm. Manuel, yeah, I've heard that before. Specifically the brother-in-law, isn't it? The brother-in-law's jokes. Mhm. Yeah, must have happened. A crash. Yeah, a crash must have happened. Hmm. Yeah. Bye, Manuel. See you again soon, hopefully. Yeah. Yeah. Car can't have been proper distance from the bicycle for sure. Yeah. Yeah. So, and my examples, the rider must have fallen off. And here, finished past action, must have fallen. They might have been hit by a car. This one I wanted to include, this is passive voice. So when we use the passive voice, we say might have been, and then the third form of the verb. Might have been hit by a car, might have been taken to hospital, might have been injured, for example. It can't have happened long ago. And again, we've got a finished action here. Because the bike is still on the road, with the helmet, I think it's reasonable to assume that this was a recent accident. I think we might have one more, and then that's it. So let's bring that up. Okay. What do you think of this? What deductions can you make about this picture? Mhm. Feel free to make present deductions as well as past. Whatever comes to you. Yeah, nice. Must have been taken a long time ago. Nice. Nice example. Mm. Put your elbows on the table every day. My mother would kill me. Elbows off the table, she used to say. They must have been happy. Patricia, hello. How are you today? You're just sort of catching the tail end of things. Mm, yeah, yeah, relating to the previous one, this accident could have had a fatality. Absolutely. We don't know. Mm. They might have belonged to a poor family. Yeah, yeah. Ah, oh, of course. Yeah, thanks, Manuel. I have heard this before, this expression. A long time ago, I'd forgotten. I need to study. Mhm. Yeah. Well, good. Good, good, good. They could have done some DIY. Yeah. Nice. DIY, for anyone who doesn't know, is do it yourself. For my trip to Aldi today, I bought some Christmas decorations, so I'll be doing a bit of, well, not exactly DIY, but yeah. Hello, Alexander. They must have celebrated the golden jubilee of the marriage. Yeah, that is a reasonable inference. They might have been happy. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, you guys have got the hang of this. What did I say? Yeah, they must have worked hard all their lives. Again, must have worked. This is a finished active verb. They may have lived on a farm, which possibly from the bucket and the things they're surrounded by. Lived, this is an interesting one. This is stative. Live can be both stative and active, depending if we're talking about a permanent residence, it's generally stative. If we're talking about something temporary, then it's active. And I put, they can't have had an easy life. They look like they've worked hard. Again, had stative verb here. I think there is actually one more. Yeah, there's one more picture here that we're going to talk about. This is the last one, and then we'll finish. So we'll probably finish around about past, I think. What deductions can you make about this picture? It occurs to me, yeah, golden jubilee. When it comes to marriage, we rather than jubilee, we say anniversary, golden anniversary. It could have been her first car, yeah. Yes, indeed. I've never had a first car, would you believe? I don't actually have a driver's license. It's never necessary for me. She must be off to some nice event, yeah. So there's a present tense example. She must be off to some nice event. Lovely. What have I said? I've gone with her parents must have bought it for her. Again, active finished here. I don't know this for sure, but she looks very young. She looks like she's a student, so she probably doesn't have a job yet in order to be able to purchase her own car. But again, this is a deduction, not a fact. I could be wrong. And in fact, I could be wrong is an example of a deduction. Maybe. I'm not sure. It's possible. It could have been a graduation present. Got a state. And my last one. She can't have had her license long. Yeah, here we've got had, the possessive here. Just point out a spelling thing. So license, this is UK. License, US. There's a spelling variation here of the word license, depending on whether you're speaking typical like British English or North American English. Right, yeah, so that's our last one, guys. Well done for today. Lots of good examples in the chat. And yeah, feel free to add more examples to the comments afterwards. I'll put the link into the video description. I'll put the link of that video that I mentioned earlier about the difference between made of and made from. I'll do that in a moment. She could have thanked the policeman for not fining her. Yeah, maybe that's true. If she got in trouble. Thank you. Yeah. In some countries currently change it or have, I think in Canada, they recently changed the law relating to young drivers and the type of license that they can have. And it's dramatically cut accident rates, which is fabulous. People are pushing for that law to be adopted in the UK, but the government have said they're not going to, which I don't understand. It clearly saves lives, but yeah, right. I think, yeah, that's the last one. So thank you very much, guys, for joining me today. And I hope that you learned something today in the stream. And yeah, that's always an example. It might have been a marketing picture for driving school. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I want to go back, actually. There we are. Yeah. Might have been a marketing picture for driving school. Yeah. She has to be a new road user. Yeah. What just happened? There we are. Cool. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Same time, same place. I don't know what our topic's going to be yet. Feel free to let me know if you have a suggestion or something you'd like to cover. Yeah, thank you. Oh, thank you. So are you. So are all of you. These live streams would be like no fun if I were talking to myself. So thank you for joining me. And I'm looking forward to the next one. Have a fabulous rest of the day, whatever time it is. I'm going to go and make some dinner. Not sure what I'm having yet. Not super keen on cooking, so but yeah, anyway, let's finish there. Have a good one, guys. Bye, Eugene, and yeah, see you in the next stream. Oh, and a huge thank you, as always, to all of you who are supporting the channel by being members. It does make a big difference, and I really appreciate it. Yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks, Hideaki. Bye.